Welcome everyone to the Players Podcast, episode 2. I'm Bob and I'm here with my co-host Az. Welcome back, Az.
Cheers, Bob. It's great to be here. Let's get straight into episode 2, mate. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So we'll start off with our sports news around the world again, like we do every week. And then we'll jump into a discussion about the AFL Grand Final, which is coming up this weekend. And then we'll just also discuss the Brownlow medal, which was on last night for the AFL. And then we'll also quickly finish off with a discussion about the women's cricket series against Australia versus India coming up, starting tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So let's get straight into the sports news around the globe. I think you're starting us off here, mate.
I am, mate. Well, I'll kick us off with the AFL. Not much happening in the AFL world other than the Brownlow, given the bye week for the Grand Final. So start off with Ollie Wines won the Brownlow with 36 votes, knocking off the Bont by 2 votes to take out the 2021 Brownlow. It was a record-breaking year with 4 players scoring over or equal to 30 votes, not points. My God. And those lads were Clary, the Bont, Wines, and Walshy. That's it for AFL.
I'll take NRL now. The Penrith Panthers won a tight encounter, which has been called the game of the year, finishing 8-6 against the Parramatta Eels. And then the Manly Sea Eagles smashed the Sydney Roosters 42-6 to also advance to the prelims. So the prelim finals coming up this weekend are Penrith Panthers versus Melbourne Storm and Manly Sea Eagles versus Sydney Rabbitohs. In tennis, currently, the only Australian really going around at the moment is Bernard Tomic. He's trying to qualify for the Astana Open in Kazakhstan. And then also the Luxembourg Open final just happened with Yelena Ostapenko losing a tight match to Clara Toussaint. And Clara Toussaint won that 6-3, 4-6, 6-4. Moving on to soccer. A few days ago, Manchester United suffered a close loss to Young Boys, losing 2-1. Ronaldo scored his 3rd goal in 2 starts after coming back to Man United. Then in that game, teammate Wan-Bissaka got a red card in the 35th minute, and it was all downhill from there, with the Young Boys scoring a late goal to win the game.
All right, that's it for soccer. But now in golf, on the PGA Tour, Max Homa won the Forfeit Open with a score of 17 under, beating Maverick McNeely, however you say it, by 1 stroke after a clutch 7 under 4th round to secure the opening win of the season, or to secure the opening tournament of the season, and also taking home $1.26 million US. The closest Aussie was Mark Leishman, who finished tied 4th at 15 under after also taking out 7 under in his final round. In the European Tour, Christopher Broberg won the Dutch Open by 3 strokes and securing €150,000 prize. I think that's it for sports news around the world, right? Don't have anything more.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Hasn't been much happening this week in sport, really.
Next week's a pretty big week, I think. A bit of Formula One Grand Finals.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a lot to talk about. So let's jump straight into our AFL Grand Final preview. So coming up this Saturday night, we've got the biggest game of the year in the AFL, the Grand Final, with my beloved D's playing against the Western Bulldogs. So you got any thoughts or anything about who you think is going to win in the Grand Final?
Well, I don't know, mate. I think D's have got a good chance, but then also Bulldogs, last time they were in this situation, having to come from the bottom 4 of the finals, they took it home with 4 straight wins. I think the first team to ever do so, possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
Or maybe the first team to ever, definitely the first team to ever do so in 7th, I believe. Or maybe vice versa. Either way, I reckon the Dogs are a strong chance, but if Melbourne are able to keep up their form, like they have, demolishing every team that stands in their way, it's looking good for the D's too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last time Melbourne finished top of the ladder, we also won the flag. So that's another...
That was 70 years ago, and there were 10 teams in the league. So
no
time has changed.
It has. Well, let's hope that the tradition, that one about how we do so well finishing top, works for us. I think we've won 11 of the 12 times that we finished top of the ladder at the end of the season. So let's hope we win. There was a little bit of an injury scare coming out of the Melbourne camp the other day with
What was that?
small forward Charlie Spargo jarred his ankle in training after being tackled, but they've declared he'll be fit to play, which is very good news.
I think that's just the media trying to fish for a headline in the bye week before the grand final, because nothing's going on. There's 2 teams and nothing else to report on.
Yeah, I think once they said he was didn't take any further part in that training session because he didn't ice it up or anything, but then they were straight onto it saying, "Oh, massive injury scare," and whatever. I do have a question to ask you about the AFL actually.
Okay, hit me, Bob.
Do you think that after the grand final, there should be a medal for every player who played the game, every player who has played a game for the year, or the whole squad?
I think they should continue doing what they're doing. Every player that played in the grand final and also this year, including the 23rd man, the emergency, those guys get a medal. And then a little add-on to this, a bit of a hybrid of 2 of those options is the club can designate up to 2 or 3 more people that also deserve a medal. So say Nathan Jones, I know he didn't play. I know he hasn't played since round 6, but I love how he's loyal to Melbourne, even through the dark days.
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
He saw a lot of dark days, and now he hasn't got a game since round 6. Bob and I, we were discussing that I would love to see that Jones would get a run in the grand final, not even as an emergency, but on the bench or on the ground to start off with, just because he's been with the club. He was skipper for a bit. He's it's just sad that he wasn't able to make it up to West Coast, but players like him or even Robert Murphy back in 2016. That's where you'd give those extra medals out to.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for him, the timing, because he's just had twins, Nathan Jones, born late last week or during last week. So he had to fly home back to Melbourne, which means even the slim chance that he was going to play is now completely.
Yeah. Well, but I have a hypothetical for you.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, mate. Say you were in Jones' position. You had twins. Yep. It was twins, right?
Yeah, twins.
Yeah. So you had twins coming up in Melbourne. Of course, COVID. You're in his position. Do you fly home, see the birth of your child, and absolutely get rid of any chance of playing a grand final after announcing your retirement and after being with the club for I think 16 years and 300 games?
Yeah.
So would you fly home, look at the witness a kid's birth? I'm not sure whether they're his first kids, but still,
they weren't his first kids.
Okay.
He's already got 2, I think. But I think it's very hard to say as I haven't been in either situation. So I think that you'd have to go back to Melbourne for your kids, I think.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, mate.
I mean, in the end, it was probably not as hard of a decision as he wasn't he was still probably a few players off being in the team. If he was in the team though, that's where it gets kind of tricky. But the fact that he probably wasn't going to play for me kind of made it quite an easy decision for him to not, to not be for the grand final.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with my thinking is, I mean, you probably wouldn't want to say this to your wife, but it's you go play the game in Melbourne. Yes, not Melbourne, Perth. Yes, you'd miss the birth of your kids, but in his case, we'd already had to. And I know it does not sound great at all, but I mean, if I was playing in the AFL for 16 years in a club that hasn't won a premiership in an eternity, I'm going to do everything I can to try play. And it's not like I'm ditching my child's birth to go pet a grand in the casino or whatever. It's purposeful.
Your very slim chance of getting a wife now becomes 0, I think, Ari. So
yeah, mate. Oh well, just did a Jones there, mate. Confirmed it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it is going to be a very good I think high scoring grand final.
Yeah.
With both teams having very strong like scoring capabilities. I think that if both teams play at like 100%, Melbourne can win. And if like they both play at the same like percentage, then Melbourne can win. But it's just if Bulldogs come out just a lot better, then of course they're going to win. So my tip, I think, is in Melbourne by about 20 odd points.
That's fair. I would say my tip. I don't know. I'm going to tip. I'm going to tip the Bulldogs just to go against you here, Bob. I'm going to tip the Bulldogs by 13 points. The unlucky number 13. Bulldogs
so I'll say Melbourne by 21. We'll come back next week and we'll see who was closer.
Or who's closer if we do this? Is it Melbourne by 3 points? Is that in the middle?
Melbourne by 3 points.
All right. Yeah. So we'll come back to all of you next week, and we will see who's closer. Which brings us on to the point of next week. We've got a special announcement for next week's podcast, which we will announce at the end of the podcast. So make sure you stay tuned.
Yes,
I thought you were going to be all over this one, Bob, but looks like I'm going to have to carry again.
I kind of forgot to mention this at the start. Yep. So stay tuned for a big announcement for the podcast next week. We will hopefully try and remember to announce it at the end of the episode.
And if we don't, you'll hear about it on our Instagram or our YouTube. Yeah. And you'll hear about it. Don't worry. It's
exactly. All right. Let's go. Let's talk about the Brownlow medal, which happened last night. So it was a very, very close tally. Were you watching it?
I was watching it. Yeah. I got every vote, mate.
Same, mate. It was I was surprised. It took a while to get started, the votes. Coverage lasted a while with the red carpet, but after that, they actually moved through it pretty quickly, which was good.
Oh, that was
in previous years, it's been super slow, so it was good. It was quick.
Yeah. So, Bob, do you have any clear opinions on the Brownlow medal other than the fact that you think Clary got robbed?
Oh no, Clayton Oliver didn't get robbed, but it's hard because you have a look at players like Sam Welsh and Ollie Wines, for instance. Like they pretty much got all the votes for their team. Sam Welsh, even when they were losing though, Sam Welsh was getting 3 votes. No one else was getting close to him. Whether you look at Melbourne, there was always other players around. Like Clayton Oliver, same with Bontempelli at the Bulldogs. There were always players that were, even when they played really well, they didn't get maybe the votes that they deserved for their game.
Yeah.
So that's why it was pretty clear that it was always it was probably always going to be Ollie Wines, just for the fact that there wasn't really many other players stealing votes other than Travis Craig off him.
Yeah. Well, then also with the Bombers, this is going to be a bit controversial, but I would say the Bombers is probably the toughest to get votes from. I know Melbourne has Gawn and Petrarca and Oliver, but Merritt and Parrish, thank you. Yeah. I think Parrish got 27, maybe
26, I think it was.
Yeah. And then Merritt was close behind with low 20s. Those guys were stealing votes of each other. If you think about it, 22 games in a season, and that's 66 votes available. And Parrish and Merritt have got over 2/3 of the available votes for all the Bombers games. And then again, the Bombers didn't win most of the games. I think they went 11-11, 10-12, maybe. I think it might be 11-11.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very controversial statement. And probably not true. But as an Essendon supporter, you can probably get away with saying that.
You got to have some bias.
I mean, you could also say the same about Melbourne, though, because we had 96 votes out of a possible 132 we could have got all year, go to our team. And also, we just mentioned one thing. There was one game that Melbourne got absolutely stitched up. So we played against Adelaide in round... Just listen to this. We played against Adelaide in round 21. We won by 40 points and Bailey Fritsch kicked 7 goals and he got 1 vote. And the 2 top vote getters were Adelaide players when they lose by 6-7 goals.
Who was that again? It was Keys and Laird?
Keys and Seedsman. So their winger and one of their midfielders, who to be fair, you look at the stats, they did play well. But when you lose by 40 points, surely you don't have the top two. And surely someone who kicks 7 goals gets more votes than someone with 30 disposals on a week.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's just some umpires. So I guess you can't really do much about that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there was always like stuff like that. But that's why I always find it hard. Like, it's very hard to get 3 votes in a losing side.
Oh,
like if it's close, then sometimes, but if it's like you're losing by 6-7 goals, like you're basically single-handedly carrying your team to be as close as you were.
Yeah. Well, with the Adelaide Melbourne game, when Melbourne went nearly 11-0, do you remember who got the votes there? Was it 3 Melbourne players?
Yeah.
Or?
I don't think it was 3 Melbourne players, but I definitely know that Clayton Oliver. We lost. Clayton Oliver got 3 votes, but he got 37 disposals and 3 goals. So it was quite deserving of it.
Absolutely.
But I can't remember who got the other ones, but yeah. But that was 3 votes in a losing side. When you lose by 1 point, then, and especially if you have 37 disposals and 3 goals, then
of course, yeah.
You probably deserve them.
Yeah, you deserve them even if your team loses by 120.
Because I'm pretty sure that game was actually ranked the 4th best individual game since they started taking the ranking point stats. And the other 3 were like when Buddy kicked 13, Mark Lacroix kicked 10, and Stevie Johnson kicked 8 or something and had 10 goal assists or something like that. Something crazy. And then it was Clayton Oliver's game, which was pretty amazing.
Of course, yeah. Well,
so Ari, I do have to bring something up quickly.
Oh, no.
You gave us a fun fact last week.
Yes. Are you asking me to give you another one, Bob?
I would like another fun fact, but before, can we make sure that this week's fun fact is actually a good fun fact? Because last week you had a golfer in a fun fact about a tennis Grand Slam.
I did mix that up. I believe I said the last person to win a singles Grand Slam, men's singles Grand Slam, was Ben Hogan, which I can confirm is incorrect. We thank our viewers for getting in contact with us and making sure we knew. I would like to correct my statement, and I would like to say that it was actually Australian Rod Laver that was the last person to win a men's single Grand Slam. So he still holds that title, as Djokovic couldn't seal the deal. Yeah, but let's move on with that. Let's stop living in the past.
Do you have a fun fact for this week?
Of course I do, Matt. I've got 2 fun facts.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
This is big. This is big.
This could be a mistake, though, because I'm not doing 3 next week and then 4 the next. So I think we'll just keep it to 2 per week. But
we'll have to say.
Kicking off the fun facts. Fun fact number 1, Mr. Maxwell Gawn, the old number 37 and the new number 13 for the Melbourne Demons. 11. Sorry, Clary's number 11. 13. Jeez, already getting it wrong. He grew up in New Zealand. That's fun fact number 1.
That's a good one.
And fun fact number 2 was, I think it was 36 players reached the double digits Brownlow votes mark for the 2021 season, 35 of which being midfielders, the 36th being a ruckman in Max Gawn, who is arguably a midfielder given where he plays as a ruckman. But
I actually listened to another podcast this morning about talking about it. No, but what it was was they said that Max Gawn, you have a look at his year, like if he was back in the 90s and whatever, you'd say that's a Brownlow medal winning year. Like he played that well. When you come have a look this year, he's got 16 votes, which is still a very good job.
16 more than you and I.
Exactly. But you have a look and the midfielders are just running away with it. Like he wasn't even close.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine his game where he kicked 5 in the final against Geelong, was it? Yeah, that would be the sort of dominance that he would have needed to display every week as a ruckman to take out the Brownlow,
which is just like unheard of.
Exactly. I think he was the first ruckman to score 5. No, not even ruckman. First person to score 5 goals in a final in a long time. maybe.
I think
might be wrong.
I think he was. I think that fact is wrong. I reckon someone has. It definitely was. I think maybe for a ruckman it might have been.
Yeah, that would probably it. All these stats in my head, mate. All these fun facts and all that.
Yeah,
they're jumbling up.
Yeah, they are. So let's now move on to our last topic, which is we're talking about the women's cricket starting up tomorrow, Tuesday, 10 a.m. We got the first ODI between Australia and India. So the other day there was
India or New Zealand.
It's actually against India.
Oh, okay. So the New Zealand one is a bit further along the track. So. All right, easy. My bad.
So Australia played in a practice match against India the other day, beat them by 36 runs after a strong batting innings led by Rachel Haynes, our fellow Carey past student, Meg Lanning, and Beth Mooney. Rachel Haynes top scored with 65, and then Lanning and Mooney both scored a comfortable 59 each. On the bowling side, young 19-year-old gun Stella Campbell led the way with 3 for 38 off 7 overs. And that was a good start for the Aussies, looking to beat India in the first multi-format series ever. So to explain that means that we play against India in 3 one-day matches, a test match, and then 3 T20 matches.
And Bob, can you explain how the points work for that one? Because even I don't know that well. I genuinely just help us out.
So in the limited over matches, so the one-day internationals and the T20s, for a win, you get 2 points. And then for the test match, if you win, you get 4 points. And if it's a draw, then the teams just split 2 points each. And this is the first ever multi-format series, because normally if you verse another country and you might play few test matches and a few ODIs or whatever, they are different series. They're for different trophies, but this one here is just for the one trophy, which I think's a really good idea because it makes it like more competitive and you get more players playing. If you have multi-formats, it becomes more of like it's not as much based on the team, but more like the country and like the players, like what's the word? The depth that you guys have got in like different formats.
Of course, yeah. And this will be also another great thing to implement into the men's game. I know this is revolutionary across all of cricket, I believe, but but it's just like such a great way to play cricket. It's definitely a development, and how teams are selected and how squads are selected is going to change. Because I know Australia, I think, for the T20 World Cup, I think we're just getting all of our big hitters. I think Finch is a captain and Steve Smith will barely get a run, I believe. So if he's even in the squad.
Yeah, no, I think he is. It'll be I think we're going to talk about that in a few episodes' time when we come up to the T20 World Cup, which starts next month. So, but it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But so the Australian
Bob, just hold on a second, mate. Hold on a second. Your mic is a little. You got to think about viewership, mate. You got to just give it another go now because it's just a bit blurry.
Was it a bit blurry for you?
Yeah, a bit blurry, cutting out a bit. It's not great still, but we'll continue. Improvement.
Oh, all right. Well,
we'll bag you for it next week, mate. We'll bag you.
Apologies for my bad network. I'll try and improve for next week. I'll cop it on the chin. I'll come back better and stronger next week.
That's what we love to hear.
Yeah. So let's just hope the Australian woman can beat India in this new multi-format series.
Do we know what the trophy is called, Bob?
Oh, I would have to do some research on that, actually.
Okay. Will we get to them next week, or will we look it up right now?
Well, I'm currently looking it up right now, but there's a chance that I won't get it.
Yeah. With something as new as this, there might not be a Wikipedia page telling us or something.
That's true, as it is the first time it's ever happened.
Exactly.
Well, I know that it's called the Commonwealth Bank Series, if that helps any of the viewers out.
Well, Commonwealth Bank, that can change. That's just like Magellan and who's sponsoring the Ashes right now? It's interchangeable, right? They change. Yeah. Oh, well.
Vodafone are doing the Ashes series.
Yes, that's right.
Well, it's just called the Combank series. So
all right. Well, we'll do some further research on it, and we'll try to get to all you. And if we can't find it, we'll make note of that, and we will do our best to find it in future episodes.
We will. We'll put in some time and effort into this to try and
absolutely the things you do for the pod.
Exactly.
Well,
I think that we have discussed everything to do with sport this week.
Okay. Well,
we do have a big announcement now to make.
Yes. Boppy, would you like the honours?
I will. So for episode 3 of the podcast coming out on the 28th of September in where you'll be listening. So it'll be a week today, I think, if you listen on Tuesday. We are getting a special guest. We have current first 18 Carey footballer and future number 1 draft pick, Charlie Connell-Tobin, coming onto the podcast as a special guest to review the AFL Grand Final with us.
That's right. You heard it first. Number 1 draft pick for the 2023 class. It's
exactly.
It's going
to be a good episode.
Absolutely,
it's going to be a good episode.
What will we be hearing from him, Bob? We will be hearing about the grand final review, his opinions, his thoughts. Anything else?
I think
a bit of his story.
Yeah, we might ask him some questions.
The story of the 16-year-old boy.
Ask him about his beloved Hawthorn Hawks, and then I think that. Yeah, and then we'll see where it goes. I think
absolutely.
Next episode will definitely be a cracker of an episode, just to say the least.
Absolutely, but I'm looking forward to it a lot. So I guess we'll have to sign off from here, and
again, go check us out on Instagram at the Players Podcast, or it might even be at the Real Players Podcast.
Instagram is the Real Players Podcast. If you'd like to email us, the email is therealplayerspodcast@gmail.com. The YouTube is the Players Podcast. Whether you're listening to this on YouTube or on Spotify. Yes. And if you are listening on this with a platform that allows you to comment or like, please give us all the likes and comments possible. Just do it.
Do it. Subscribe on our YouTube. Follow us on Spotify.
It helps us grow.
It does. Let's just get this money in here, basically. That's all we're asking.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to follow the Instagram, we'll be giving updates during the week about the episodes, special guests, even be snippets from the episodes. Also, we also have another announcement, another one. We are starting up this new series on YouTube called, which will be on the same YouTube account called Bop and Az's Quizzes, where every week we'll tackle a sporting relevant quiz and see how we go. So
possibly we'll even 2 if we're up feeling like it. We'll
maybe. So the first episode of that will be coming out very shortly. So keep your eyes peeled.
Bob, should we put a date on that right here, right now, but off the top of our head?
We could upload it on Tuesday or Wednesday if you wanted to. Just get it up there as soon as we can, or even today on the Monday.
I'll say it will come out the day of the podcast, but not before the podcast.
Can we also do a quick Jack Medley, who just liked our post?
Mate, you cut out there for a second. Account. Apologies, mate. You just cut out there for a second. Can you please re-announce the announcement?
Can we please give a quick shout out to Jack Medley, who liked our Instagram post just then. Quick shout out to a listener of the pod.
Exactly. He is the listener of the week.
If you guys can guess what time we're filming and like the post, I'll give you guys a shout out on the podcast.
Yes. Well,
so I think that's it. It's been a good episode, hasn't it?
Yes, it has been a good episode, mate. And I'm looking forward to episode 3. It's great fun doing this with you, Bob.
Cheers.
But unfortunately, it's time we sign off. So see you, mate. Have a good one.
Have a good one, mate.